Greetings, everybody, every human, every slug, everyone watching the channel. Hopefully you guys had a good New Year's. Hopefully you can just wash away 2023, all the shit and filth that it brought with us, and let's echo on a new age. 2024 is upon us, and I thought what better to do in the new year than bring some doom and gloom. That's right, we were talking about my favourite doom albums of all time. Now these are a top 20 list, and it's very me. If you know Questy, you know my tastes. There's not really a lot of traditional doom. In fact, most of it's going to be like death doom or like funeral doom, because that's probably one of my favourite genres of all time. So, sorry all fans of traditional doom. I still like your St. Vituses and your Reverend Bazaars. They're still very good, but my taste's a bit more extreme, as Konami would say. So let's get on with it. Top 20 doom metal albums of all time. Let's bring on the year with a dreary little bang, shall we? Number 20 is Atramentus with Stygian. This is a newer entry on the list, but just as harrowing, just as despair-filled as all the other great funeral doom bands. Not a lot of albums in the discography, but both the ones that I've heard are just magical. This one is so sorrowful, and you can tell from the artwork what it's going to be. You know, he's there, just in absolute peril, and there's those mounting like figures over him in the distance, looming over him like a cloud above his head. So grud. Wow. The new year, Questy hasn't changed a single thing. He still can't speak English. But yeah, like the clouds looming over him, very despair-filled. Good stuff. Great start. Next up is a classic band, Mournful Congregaiton. Another very sorrow-filled, moody funeral doom band. One of the classics, one of the OGs, and the Book of Kings is actually my favourite. I know, a weird one. A lot of people would say the June Frost, the Monad of Creation, Incubus of Karma, which was on my favourites ages ago, but no, Book of Kings has risen to the king lead title of 19. Let's move on. Pallbearer is here, Sorrow and Extinction. This isn't funeral doom. Wow, what's wrong with you? Pallbearer is so melancholic. I love it. I love that kind of Catatonia-esque, Paradise Lost, Draconian Times kind of music, and this has that, but a bit more darker. And I've seen these guys live, and they're actually surprisingly heavy for a doom metal band. Really surprisingly heavy. Love them to pieces. Always brings a tear to my eye. Sorrow and Extinction, the best album. Next up is Bellwitch. Of course, Bellwitch is going to be here. One of the most famous funeral doom bands around nowadays, especially because of stuff like Mirror Reaper and the splits with Stygian Bow. But my favourite's Four Phantoms. That's right, Four Phantoms is just the best, because yes, Mirror Reaper is an epic and it's fantastic. So is the newest one as well, Clandestine Gate. But Four Phantoms has a lot shorter songs, but it's not like an album of the whole thing is one song, which I love, but you got to really dedicate yourself to that. Whereas Four Phantoms has a couple of songs on, still long, but I don't know, you can pick and choose more, because a lot of times I don't listen to albums in full, especially in my car. It's always either shuffle or I just pick out randomly. I only listen to it in full when I'm back at home. So it's nice to have albums where it's not just one song the entire way through, because when I'm out and about driving around, I like some songs. So this does it for me. I like Four Phantoms more because of that. And the music itself, just sublime. Let's get darker with our funeral doom with Nortt. I almost said Gort. Nortt with Galgenfrist. Such a great blackened funeral doom band. Very eerie. Feels like you're in a haunted forest, and the trees, the branches are just crickling and crackling out to just take your throat and rip it out. That's what it feels like. Really eerie, really unsettling. It's like a mist is enveloping you in a dark, haunted forest, and if that sounds good to you, go check out Nortt, because all their albums are bloody bangers, and this is just my favourite. Hooded Menace had to be here. Come on, some death doom up in here. Never cross the dead. Don't do it. Don't cross the dead. They will eat your ankles. Don't let them nibble on your fucking feetsies now. This is like thunderous. The riffs are so good. The vocals are very, autopsy, like that. The Death Doom vocals you got, like the incantations, the autopsy, stuff like that. It's in that similar vein, a lot more slower. Whereas they're more like doomy death. This is definitely Death Doom. Doom is first and foremost. I love the horror themes of it. It does feel like you are in a mansion and zombies are attacking. It's like Resident Evil. It's a soundtrack to Resident Evil, basically. That sounds good to you. Hooded Menace is fantastic, and Never Cross the Dead is just... Every song is headbangable. Every song is just groovy. So if that sounds good, give it a whirl. More sad times now with Loss and Despond. Could have picked Horizonless, which is a really fantastical album, but Despond... It's really hard between them, but Despond's always been my favourite. Love the weird intro. It just feels sadder, it just feels more depressing. And that's what I like in a lot of these bands, and it's just good to have in the background. Loss is such a great band, and Despond just happens to be the one I go to more often than not, but Horizonless, still fantastic. So if you pick that, good for you, hopefully. So hopefully some people who don't know a lot of these bands can get into some bands through this list as well. So yeah, check out Loss. Aphonic Friendy is next with the All-Consuming Void. This is another newer one. Great band. Lots of releases. All fantastic. Every single one is fantastic. Again, Funeral Doom. The artwork's in every single one as well. But the music, the melody, the melancholy seeps through into your soul. Underrated band. Not a lot of people talk about Aphonic Friendy, but I think they should, because they're a force to be reckoned with, especially nowadays. They can go toe-to-toe with the big boys and come out unscathed. Great album, great art, great stuff. Let's get a bit darker with Catacombs in the Depths of rlyeh. This album art always drew me in, and I was like, what is this Cthulhu-esque weird misty demon doing? I love it, it's creepy, and it makes the music heavier. I like it when art kind of mixes in with the music, like I look at the art and I can hear the music in my head. It's just as heavy, just as foreboding. It's very it's very eerie. Eerie is the right word, but heavy as well. It's a heavy album. It's one of the heavier Funeral Doom albums. Catacombs is just such a great band, and this is probably the best and probably my favourite. Now let's go on a trip through the ocean with Drown and Subaqueous. Drown, amazing Funeral Doom band, and this album just takes you through the ocean. It's kind of like the Ocean Collective, not the Phanerozoic one. What's the... You know what I'm talking about? The ocean one. We go through the ocean. The Ocean Collective's... God, it's... My brain is dead. Too much alcohol on New Year's. It'll come to me halfway through this video and I'll start screaming. But let me know down below, because I've forgotten what the bloody name of it is. It's all about going down, deeper and down into the ocean. Anyway, Drown's album does the exact same thing. It does feel like you've been pulled through the ocean and you're getting to the darkest depths, but it's still beautiful. It has magic in it. Really enjoy this album. Now flip that with one of the heaviest Funeral Doom albums ever, Wormphlegm, Tomb of the Ancient King. Oh, this is evil, this is murky, this is gritty, this is just disgusting Funeral Doom. Really raw, really just in your face, and it's harrowing, but in a fun way. Definitely the harshest to listen to out of all the bands I've mentioned so far, but for people who like death metal, it's all good. It's all gravy. We like the heavy shit, and this is the heavy shit. So, yeah, go check it out if you like death metal. Carrying on with the heaviness is Tyranny, Tides of Awakening, another really heavy Funeral Doom album, and this one is just... It feels like a giant is just stepping on your face with every blast of every drum, and just the walls of noise that it's able to create in the music itself is just so all-encompassing. It shatters the bones with every strum. That's how heavy this album is. So good. Not quite as gritty or as raw as Wormphlegm, but just as heavy. Because I don't think there's a single music genre as heavy as Doom. Because when the riff hits, when the drum beat goes boom, it's like a shudder and like an aftershock of music, and that's all good. Next up is Slow with 5 Oceans. Slow has a lot of albums, This one just happens to be my favourite. It's a bit more melodic, it's a bit more atmospheric than a lot of the others, and it just has a better melodies in, to me. But every one you could pick up and have a good time. But 5 is generally considered the best, and it's actually my favourite, which is, usually I try and pick ones which aren't the favourite, but just so happens to be my favourite is the favourite, because it's that goddamn good. Colleseum is next with Chapter 1, Delirium. There's only 3 albums with this band, which is sad, because all 3 slap. But it's because one of the members passed away. So, yeah, just giving more depression to already depressing music. Colleseum is just beautiful work of art. This album mixes in the heaviness with the beauty and the bleakness and the disparity all together into a great concoction of sadness. And it's great, and I love it, and I'm going to continue to listen to it more and more. We're into the top 5 now, and Swallow the Sun. Songs from the North. Wait a second, what's that doing here? Songs from the North is a great triple album. You have the traditional Death Doom stuff, you have like a more acoustic album, where it's just all cleans, I should say, not acoustic. And the final album's Funeral Doom, so, come on, that's like 4 hours worth of music. You get Funeral Doom, you get a nice little mellow album, and you also get some Death Doom. Sign me up, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And the vocals, so melancholic, the lyrics are depressing as hell. It's amazing. Swallow the Sun is one of the best bands ever, and Songs from the North is a killer. Next up is Disembowlment, Transcendance into the Peripheral. This is a classic. You've all seen the red cover everywhere. People always call it Death Doom, and yeah, it's Death Doom, but I always see some Funeral Doom elements in it. I always feel it fits more with that. That's just my own personal take, but it doesn't really matter, because both genres are amazing. But yeah, it's slow as hell, but it's also heavy as hell, and just, it's one of the best Doom albums ever made, which is why it's number 4 on my list. Not my personal favourite, but it's probably one of the most respected on the entire list. It's one of the heaviest on the list, and it's also just, it mixes in 2 great genres together, and it's kind of like a pioneer as well. So hats off, salutes to Disembowlment, little d, and then Embowlment. Great stuff. Coming in next is Skepticism with stormcrowfleet. This is a beautiful album. This is so majestic. You got the whole band with like the suits on, and like you have like the violins and all like the orchestra behind it, and it's just, vocals are so unique. It's one of the most unique bands on the list. It's just magical. It's a magical experience. It feels like you are in a church which is haunted and the organs are playing. It's amazing. Alleged Skepticism and Stormcrowfleet just happens to be the piece de resistance, the best of them all. 3 more, and number 3 we have Evoken. Really hard between 3 and 2. You know what number 1 is. Really hard between 3 and 2, but Evoken is number 3, and the album is Atramentus. Wow. Yeah, not the antithesis of light. Love that album. But I've been liking Atramentus a lot recently. I feel like the melodies are just stronger in it. It's been drawing me in more. Maybe it's because I've played Antithesis to death that this is kind of rising up, but Evoken have no bad albums. They have a lot more on the sad, melancholic side, as opposed to my next one. But Embrace the Emptiness, great. But this one, Atramentus, is my favourite at the moment, so it's here at number 3. And number 2 is Esoteric with the Maniacal Vale. This hasn't changed. The Maniacal Vale is still unsettling, creepy, dissonant. Just, it feels like you're falling into the vortex from the cover, spiraling into madness. This is more chaotic, I don't want to say avant-garde, but just more experimental Funeral Doom band with releases such as Metamorphogenesis and Pernicious Enigma, which is just insanity. But my favourite, Maniacal Vale. It just, everything is seamless. The whole album flows through in a blink of an eye, even though it's over an hour. It's just magical. So it's my number 2. And my number 1, which will surprise absolutely no one, is Ahab, Call of the Wretched Sea. Whale ahead! It just has everything in it. The whole story of Moby Dick, the crashing of the waves into the boat, the stories, the whole chanting in ahab, ahab. Just it's amazing. The whole story is amazing. The concept is amazing. The sound is amazing. It got me into the genre. One of my favourites of all time. It's ahab, and it is my favourite, probably my favourite album of all time as well. So there you go. Call the Wretched Sea is my favourite doom metal album of all time. Let me know down below what I missed. I missed Candlemass. Oops. I missed Black Sabbath, Saint Vitus. You know, I missed a lot. Pentagram, Reverend Bazaar. There's Cathedral. People are going to be screaming. People are going to be smashing their stupid faces into the keyboards like, you missed this. I didn't. It's my top 20. Those are my top 20. You can have your own. Yeah, you can have your own. And let me know your own down below in the comments. Have some fun. Don't... Actually, yeah, bite each other. It'll be funny. Yeah, you fight in the comments. Do it. Little fisticuffs. Never hurt anyone. Let me know your favourites down below, and I'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.